Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Steve with LRM Leasing. Today we're going to go over some questions that you guys have left on the YouTube for me. So what we're going to do is just dive right into this. All right guys, so the first question that I have here is about low oil pressure. Looks like he watched the video for low oil pressure on a DD15 engine. And what he's saying is that when he climbs a hill with 1800 RPMs and the oil pressure is not going over 30 PSI. And he's replaced the crankcase filter on his truck. Crankcase filter wouldn't cause low oil pressure, but it's never a bad thing to replace. What I would probably start at, to be honest, is would be checking your lower end. Make sure that the pickup tube is not cracked. Make sure that your main bearings and rod bearings are not worn out, because that will give you low oil pressure. And make sure you don't have any external leaks around the motor as well. Those are good indications of that you'll get low oil pressure. Unfortunately, the only thing that you can do as the driver or the owner is take a look around the motor, make sure you don't have any external leaks. If you do, that's something that you want to repair. When it comes for the internal stuff, by checking the pickup tube and your mains and rod bearings, you're gonna have to take that to a shop and have your bearings inspected. If the bearings do look good, then you're gonna need further diagnostic. All right, so our next question is for a 2021 Freightliner Cascadia. He says that the AC blows cold and then about an hour later it will get hot. So there could be a few things going on there. So one, if you don't see the engine fan or hear it come on, it should run for about 3 minutes, and that's its job. It needs to cycle. If it's not doing any of that, the other thing is that you may be low on Freon. You may have to get hooked up to an AC machine, check out your pressures, and see if you're low on Freon. Another good thing is for you as a driver or owner, look around the truck, see if you see any wet or maybe some green dye around the AC components. And if you have an AC leak, and then now you know that you're low on Freon, that's a good indication why you're blowing cold for a little bit and then getting hot. Now, there's one other thing you could do is run the truck for a while, look around the AC. If you see any frost buildup around the AC line or any major components that you can see, that's a good indication that you have a restriction, and that would cause the same symptoms. But my rule of thumb is keep it simple. I would definitely just check to make sure that your pressures are reading properly. If they are, then you would need further diagnostics. So that's what would be the thing to check for your AC not working properly. All right, so the next question that I have is the thermostat on a 2016 DD13, bobtailed. He wants to know when is it open, and his truck is getting at 200 degrees. And his top hose is hot, but his lower hose is warm. So here's a few things that you need to check out. One, the thermostat opens at 190. So once it gets up to 190 degrees, the thermostat will open. And then the fluid will start rotating through the system. Look at your coolant tank. You're gonna see coolant moving. If you don't see any coolant moving, that's a good indication that your water pump is not working. Now, when the thermostat opens at 190, give it about a minute or two. The temperature should reach about the same as what it feels on the top as well as the bottom. Now, if you're at 200 degrees and you see that it says on the gauge, the top is still hot, but the bottom is warm or cool, then your thermostat is not opening it up, and that's where I would replace it. Just remember that the coolant temperature will rise up to 221 on these newer trucks. So be patient, let it climb up to 221, the fan should kick on, and then drop that temp right back down to 190. Next question that I have is on a 2018. He didn't really specify what kind of truck, but he's having an issue with his parking brake light. So the parking brake light, I'm assuming that's the light that's on the dash itself. And he says it only works when his lights come on. And he checked all the fuses. When you turn on your lights and then the light comes on, it may be a body controller issue depending on what truck you have. It could be the CPC or a body controller for most of these Packards, Internationals, Freightliners, it could be the SAM. So depending on what the truck is, I would check the simple thing by checking that valve, and then you may get further diagnostic on the electrical portion. The last question of the day is a YouTube guy that left me a message stating that he replaced the PNDB box himself, and he is still driving and still losing power after he replaced it. And I know that I had another video stating that 90% of the time the PNDB box would resolve that problem. So the other 10% I'm going to try to show you right now. So we're on the driver's side of this truck, the PNDB box, which was right up here against the firewall, right, or front wall. So the next thing is, if you replace that and you're still having where you're having a powder outage and it comes right back up, what I want you to do is, there's a box right here on the driver's side. Once you remove the cover, you'll see that there's a relay. So start the truck up and then grab a hold of the relay and just move it around a little bit. Now, if you get it where it goes in and out, what you want to do is remove the relay. What happened is the pins have spread. All right, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So right here is where we have where pins will go onto these prongs, right? Or terminals. And there has a loose connection. So when you move it around and then you lose power, that's a good indication that the pins here in this box need to be tightened up. You put the relay back in, wiggle it around, and then that should resolve that problem. If it doesn't, then what I would highly recommend is, at that point, is we're gonna have to trace down a wire. Unfortunately, you would have to come to a shop, but I would definitely test this out first, because this is where I've seen where I would wiggle the relay, the power goes in and out. I tighten up the pins, problem is fixed. So I hope this has answered the question that you were looking for. All right, so like I said before in the previous video and just earlier, that the PND box is about 90% cause of the problem when you lose power. Before you take it to the shop, just check this relay, wiggle it around, see if the power goes in and out, and then if it is, then at least you know where the problem is lie, which would be the pins, and that's where I would go from there. All right, guys, I hope that the videos have helped, especially with the questions that are coming in. I want to strongly encourage you guys to leave me any messages or any concerns. Our goal is to help you save money. Again, if you like what you saw, hit the like button. If you have any questions and concerns, please don't hesitate. Leave a comment at the bottom and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys at the next video.